pick up the injured troops and make a clean escape. So effective were these gunships that designers started thinking about the helicopter in a new role altogether, not for defense or evacuation, but as a formidable new attack weapon. The first form of attack helicopter was the American Apache, and it was only a matter of time before developers in other countries also began designing attack helicopters. In South Africa, this took the form of the awesome Rooivalk.
Rooivalk means red falcon, and like this legendary bird of prey, the South African Rooivalk attack helicopter is arguably the most sophisticated one of its kind in the world. It has a state-of-the-art digital management system that includes look-and-shoot gun sights that respond to the gunner's head movements.
It's a mean machine. It weighs 8.5 tons, and it's very smooth. And the field of view from the cockpit is excellent, especially the forward field of view, which in some other helicopters are lacking.
Heads-up display, or HUD, is a system that displays essential information in the visors worn by the pilot and gunner. This allows them to keep their eyes on the surroundings without having to look down at the instrument panel. The HUD includes flight and navigation data, early warning systems, weapons control information, and target acquisition programs.
And if the gunner wants to shoot at the target, all he has to do is look at it. The look-and-shoot aiming system allows the gunner to select his weapon, look at the target, align the crosshairs, and at the press of a button, the victim is history. Even distant sights can be targeted because the visor has binocular projection, and if it's dark, the visor has night vision capabilities. When it comes to firepower, the Rooivalk can carry an array of weapons for use against surface or airborne threats.
The package makes the Rooivalk a daunting opponent, no matter what its target. Its weapon lineup is extremely adaptable. It carries a 20mm cannon, 4 air-to-air missiles, 44 hypervelocity rockets, or 8 anti-tank missiles.
Aggressive, I'd say. But it can take a punch as well as it can give one.
The design drivers for the Rooivalk has been, first of all, when in battle, not to be seen. If seen, not to be hit. And if hit, to sustain flight. And then finally, if you can't sustain flight and you have to crash, for the crew to be able to survive the crash.
The Rooivalk can survive a direct hit by armor-piercing ammunition and continue operating without warhead or fuel detonation for over 30 minutes.
But what really distinguishes the Rooivalk? Well, its airborne performance is remarkable.
In recent air shows, it had spectators begging for more, as the Rooivalk executed a variety of stunts that we would normally only expect from fixed-wing aircraft, like being able to loop the loop and do a barrel roll. These abilities give the Rooivalk an awesome advantage in airborne dogfights and attacks. The Rooivalk is also renowned for its ability to zip out from behind cover and attack before it's been noticed. How does it do it? Firstly, it's uncannily silent. Secondly, it has very clever anti-radar detection technology. And finally, it can fly sideways at an astonishing 50 knots. The Rooivalk also has a phenomenal forward speed. It cruises comfortably at 145 knots and can go up to 167 knots. Other abilities include nap of earth flying, which allows it to literally skim the treetops, hugging every undulation of the terrain as it flies towards its target. By keeping such a low profile, it remains undetected on enemy radar or even visual lookouts until the last devastating second. It also has a phenomenal vertical climb rate, but best of all, that awesome barrel roll marks the Rooivalk as the closest a helicopter has ever got to fixed-wing fighter aircraft capabilities.
Remember the Airwolf TV series? Well, the Rooivalk is no movie prop. It's real and would probably eat the Airwolf for breakfast. Just another example of fact in high-tech military clout being stranger than fiction.
Coming up next, how to create your own internet website.
But before that, here's what you'll see next week on One Step Beyond. We investigate the new digital system about to replace good old VHS.
The Rooivalk helicopter gunship is an expression of that development over the last 20 years. Originally conceived in countering insurgency situations, Rooivalk, the Red Falcon, is capable of crossing large distances across hostile terrain in the worst conditions.
Rooivalk, in the sort of African terms, as the bird of prey, actually operates very much like the Rooivalk. It tends to hover from fairly high up, and then when it sees its prey, it actually closes its wings, dives down to catch its prey.
The machine is a mechanical and electronic extension of the natural capabilities of the pilot, able to detect the most well-hidden enemy and strike with deadly accuracy.
The aircraft will be deployed flying contour-type missions at night, and then go down into what we call nap of the earth mode, which is flying about 5 feet above the ground. It's flying very slowly and all the while looking for targets. Once that has been established and we get the go-ahead to actually take out the target, you can do that, and then the aircraft can withdraw. The machine was born out of I say many years of experience that the Defence Force had in the Southwest African and Namibian and Angolan war theatres, where the conditions were fairly extreme, to say the least. We had the distances that one had to cover to get from to get into any significant area was fairly vast. The conditions of the environment, hot and high conditions, as well as dust and sand, also very harsh. And what you see here is a product of that knowledge that was built up over those many years. And what we produced here is a very rugged and maneuverable and able machine to take part in any theatre of war.
While you might not see much that is beautiful about this particular machine and its subsystems, its creators perceive a kind of elegance in its design and would like to think of it as a fierce bird of prey, but ultimately a peacekeeper of the African skies.